In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can use Osmosis to swap between different assets within the Cosmos ecosystem. Now, this is a great platform for the Cosmos ecosystem because you can manage all of your different assets on Celestia, on Osmosis, on Atom, and all of the different Cosmos ecosystem chains. And you can make swaps on Osmosis without having to go to a centralized exchange if you need to get your capital from one blockchain to another within the Cosmos ecosystem. Now, for starters, in order to use this application, you're going to need to have a Cosmos enabled wallet like Kepler or Leap. So I'm going to be using Kepler for this. Now, once you connect your wallet to the platform, it will automatically detect the balance that you have. And it's going to help a lot if you have some OSMO tokens on the Osmosis network. However, I'll show you it's not actually absolutely necessary because there's the option to pay for transaction fees with different tokens on different networks. Now, the swaps feature itself is pretty simple. You just select which asset you want to swap from and which asset you want to swap to. Now, in this case, in my wallet, I have a bunch of OSMO, and I'm just going to make a swap into the AXL token on the Axelar network. So I'm going to select OSMO as my swap from, and then for two, I'm going to search for AXL. So I'm going to swap 72 OSMO tokens, and that's going to result in 101 AXL tokens. Then the next step is to simply hit swap, and then it's going to pop up in your wallet. Now, this is where, if you want to, under transaction fee, you can click this little gearbox here, and you can choose which token you want to pay the gas fee with. So if you don't actually have Osmo on Osmosis, which is the native chain for this application, you can still actually pay for it with TIA on Celestia or any other network and token that you have that's compatible here. But since I do have Osmo on the Osmosis network, I'm just going to leave it as is. And I'm going to just go ahead and confirm this transaction, which cost me less than a penny. So everything's super cheap on the Osmosis network, which is great. So let's go ahead and hit approve. So that transaction went through, and now if I open up my Kepler wallet, I can see my AXL tokens. Although I thought these were supposed to be coming out on the Axelar network. So since I want to get them over on the Axelar network, I'm gonna have to click IBC send here and send them to the home chain. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm gonna select max, no memo, and hit next. And again, you can pay for the transaction fee with any of the tokens that you have. So let's just pay for this in Osmo again, hit next, and approve the transaction. Now, while that's going through, let's talk about the other features here. Aside from the swaps feature, you can also use Osmosis to track all of your different assets on different chains. And in some ways, it's a little bit easier to keep track of stuff here than it is in the Kepler wallet, at least in the browser extension wallet. However, I would say that if you expand the Kepler wallet into the dashboard version, it's also pretty easy to keep track of all of your assets here. But the other unique features of the Osmosis application are the pools and the staking. So let's talk about pools first. Now, this is where you can provide liquidity for swaps on the Osmosis platform if you want to, and you can earn a yield or an APR in exchange for doing so. So these are all of the different pairs of assets that are currently enabled on the platform for swaps. And if you have both of those assets, so Osmo and USDC or Osmo and Atom, etc., all the way down the list, then you can actually provide liquidity for swaps on the platform and earn pretty high APRs for doing so. Now, one thing I will say is that there are definitely risks to providing liquidity, and you need to be careful of something called impermanent loss if you're doing liquidity on assets that are not correlated. So for example, with Osmo and USDC, if the price of Osmo and USDC diverge a lot, so Osmo goes up a lot in price or goes down a lot in price, then you could potentially miss out on the upside if the price of Osmo goes way up. And then if the price of Osmo goes way down, then you could basically lose USDC that you put into this liquidity pool. However, you do get a high APR for that, and you can control the range when you provide liquidity. But one thing that you can do to manage your risk in providing liquidity is to provide assets that are correlated. So for example, STTIA and TIA. This is liquid stake TIA from Stride and regular Celestia tokens. Now, the APR for providing liquidity to this pool is a lot lower, but since these assets are correlated, meaning that they're both basically TIA tokens, they're not going to diverge in price so much, and there's way lower risk of experiencing that loss that I just talked about. And so when providing liquidity to one of these pools, you have to decide if you want to take the higher risk position in exchange for that juicy APR, or if you want to provide correlated assets with a lower risk but also a lower return. Now let me show you how it works, because I have some STTIA and TIA in my wallet. So if I wanted to provide liquidity to this pool, I would click on it here, and then I would click down here where it says create a position. Now you can do a managed position if you want, where you don't have to actually make the decision, but if you want to do it manually, you can also click here, hit next, and then this is where you need to choose the price range. Now personally, I'm not going to make a deposit into these liquidity pools right now because all of the assets that I have in this wallet I have plans for. I'm planning to do other things with them. But the final really important part of the Osmosis application is the staking feature. Now this is new here in that they've actually enabled it within the app, but you can now stake Osmo tokens directly through the Osmosis app. You earn an 11% APR for this, and you could potentially qualify for other airdrops by doing this. So if you want to stake directly with the Osmosis application, your wallet's already connected, you just select how many tokens you want to stake, and then hit stake. Now, of course, you have to choose a validator. I recommend choosing one with a low commission rate, so say 5%, and one that doesn't have too much voting power. Because if you choose the biggest one, say the top 10 or the top 20, it's possible that you could be excluded from future airdrops. So you want to pick one that has a low commission rate and that is outside of the top 10 or 20 validators. So let's say I'm going to delegate to the Shapeshift DAO. And you can also select multiple different validators if you want to split it up. So I could select a couple here on the list. Let's say I select these 3 and then set squad and stake, and it's gonna pop up in your wallet asking you to confirm the transaction. So let's go ahead and do that. So that's done. I can now track my total stake balance here in the dashboard. I can claim the rewards and I can see the validators that I've delegated to. Now you can also actually stake and delegate Osmo tokens within your wallet. So Kepler or Leap, whatever you're using, by going to the staking tab and then selecting the chain and then selecting the validator. So it's the same process, but either way you can track your tokens, you can track your rewards, and you can vote on proposals as well if there's any that come up under the active proposals section. And so that is a quick tutorial on how to use Osmosis swaps as well as some of the other features within the app. And if you take the bonus step of staking Osmo tokens, it's possible that you can qualify for other future airdrops. So thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you found this video useful and have a great day.